can't do now. And I want to hear from you.
Remember names.
Remember names. Is that it?
Memorize bridge convention.
Memorize. That's what we focus on. What? Yes.
Dream lucidly while I'm awake.
Someone may have a cure for that. Just say, what are you most afraid that you won't be able to do that you can do now? Remember, everyone's worried about memory, but what you've heard about today is our brain can do so much more than memory. That's why our machines are helping us. Thank God for technology, right, Adam?
Right.
It can do so much memory, but innovation, creating, algorithmic thinking, that's what schools do. This is what I've dedicated my life to doing. And if you were to see the slide, think about from the systems level all the way down to the molecular level, how you use your brain changes every single system. It is the most powerful thing you can do. So if we can harness this amazing engine right inside our head, how many of you wouldn't give to have a faster, stronger, longer lasting brain? For the brain, we test it with the most simplistic of measures, the most complex engine. We have developed over the last 20 years measures of cognition, brain, psychological well-being, the complexity of what you're doing, and your social agility. We have to look at the brain to define it, to measure it. Because you only manage what you can measure. And right now, we aren't able to measure brain health. We have doubled our heart health in the last 40 years. Think about this, 83% fewer people are having heart attacks. If you do have a heart attack, 53% fewer people are dying. Our goal with the BrainHealth Project is to show actionable steps, and Candace is the one that challenged me. She said, all these bold missions, but we've got to do something that's actionable. What we are now doing is starting a very large, the largest ever consortium, and it's going to do two big things. And every single person in this room, if you care about your brain, is going to want to be part of it. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to enroll a large number of people. And what they're going to be able to do, if you enroll, you will be able to measure your brain health fitness level. You will be able to learn things you can do to take advantage to make your brain work better, and you will be able to track your progress on a regular basis. A Fitbit for the brain, but with all the cognition and feedback using real-time data. So Adam was talking about his closed-loop system. The second big part of what we're doing is it is a large consortium of the top brain health experts in the world. There's only about 50 people that are truly focused on the complexity of the brain across all of these spectrums, and 32 of those are on our team for the Brain Health Project. And one is Adam Ghazali, who I call the movie star of neuroscience. But we also have co-leading it with me are Dr. Jeff Ling. Dr. Ling was head of the DARPA Defense Advanced Research Program, which is the Star Wars of innovation. He was the one that came up with the idea of brain-cognition interface, thinking a thought and moving artificial limbs. Our moving remote devices are talking to your military in remote places. He was offered jobs with Mike Milken to head up Faster Cures, Zuckerberg, and the Paul Allen Institute. And he said, Sandy, I want to be part of the Brain Health Project because this is going to change humanity. This is going to help every single human being, and we've largely ignored the human brain. Ian Robertson from Dublin is another partner, and then a businessman. On top of that, Mark Esposito, that's head of neuroscience at Berkeley, MIT, Harvard, Hopkins, UCSF, UCLA, MIT, and as well as in some of the European countries. We are going to enroll 120,000 people. And what this is going to do is to be of such large scale that people will know what it means. Because when you do, for our research studies, I typically have 100 people that we enroll. Well, we find out some very interesting things, but it's not enough to make the momentum work. Everyone hears about it and feels that it's going to happen. What we're going to do is really futurize brain health. Futurize brain health. Make each person think, what is the future of my brain? Do you want your brain next year to be as good as it is now? Better. Better. And it can be. Futurize your brain to show ways, and we're going to ask people, how much do you care? So you're normal. You don't have a disease. You don't have Alzheimer's. How much do you want to stick with what you are? Or do you want to go a little bit higher? Or do you want to become an elite brain performer? People will set their own goals and will decide how much challenge they want to take into doing this. So number one, we're going to figure out the measurements, and we're about 90% there now. So if you were to come visit us today at the Brain Performance Institute, you would have a test that looks at brain, cognition, psychological well-being, complexity of real life, and your social adaptiveness. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to develop the first ever brain health learning engine so that it would take in data and see when you get better in one area, what happens in other areas. How can we figure out precision brain health for individuals? Because right now we do these descriptive things globally, one size fits all. Well, it doesn't work. What's going to work for me is not going to work for Glenda. She's better at a lot of things than I am. It's got to work for the individual to keep their brain working stronger. Think about how much this will catapult all of our discoveries for brain, whether it's what we eat, drugs that are developed, cortical stimulation, cognitive training, video games, good and bad ways. Because a lot of what we're doing, actually 50% of what we do for our brain is bad. It's bad. It's toxic. So it's not just all things are good. The third thing we're going to do is to have this where we can see, update in real time what happens. Since you're your own control, this 120,000 people, then as new discoveries are made, we will allow people to take advantage of it and see what happens. So what you start with, which most studies in my research, it's kind of frustrating. I start with something and I have to stick to it because you can't change a study midstream. With this, because people in their own control, we're going to be able to change it in real time so that we can do everything possible to promote, prevent, and preempt your brain and hopefully postpone. Fourth, and this is the biggest part, is we're really going to change the way we see about our brain. Every single person in this room, I suspect, has stigma about their brain. They have stigma. We talk about our military PTSD, but actually every single person is afraid to be tested, aren't we? You would say you'd get a brain health physical, but it'd take you a year, except for a few. Because we're afraid, people will say, what's wrong with your brain? But what if you could do everything to make it better? Why wouldn't you? We're going to change the way people, medicine, education, 20,000 of the people we enroll, and I'm sad the youth aren't here, because we are enrolling 20,000 youth to show that they're job ready, they can support themselves. It matters every single age. Innovation, algorithmic thinking, and those are the things that we were going to show. Our national spokesperson is Admiral Bill McRaven and his wife Georgina. Bill McRaven was the admiral that got Osama bin Laden, Captain Phillips, and Saddam Hussein. He was the chancellor of UT System, and he said, Sandy, I want a quantum leap in brain health. And when he stepped down from chancellor, I said, Chancellor McRaven, you challenged me to do something more. I want you to be our national spokesperson. And he's agreed to come on board. Think about the bravest, and his book right now, Cease to Fight, is #1 on the New York Times. But he said, what's going to elevate our society? Our military, our defense systems, our corporations, our longevity, our greatest cost burden is our brain power. And he said, I have witnessed single-handedly what you've done with Navy SEALs. I've seen it with corporations. I've seen it with education. This is something that we need to make sure happens around the world. So the singular focus of brain health, 3 things that our science has shown. We have published over 1,000 research studies with our team, doing the brain imaging, the cognitive testing, randomized trials, very precision. 3 things that we're showing. 1, that you can truly double brain performance. We have shown it. We've worked with 75,000 youth, kids in poverty. We have gotten them to a level of private school educated by teaching them how to do innovative thinking and deeper level thinking and expansive rather than fact memories that we think memory matters. Really what matters is how do you create new knowledge? That's what the human brain was created to do. We've doubled graduation rates. We've doubled scores in science, math, history, and English across all areas by teaching people what they do. Doubling brain performance is very real. The second, inoculate against the stressors. In our military, Department of Defense, working with all branches, we've shown 60% reduction in depression, 40% reduction in stress, almost a 60% increase in reasoning and innovative thinking in people that had brain injuries, PTSD, bipolar, who never saw their brain as the capacity of what it could do. So inoculate against stress. And the third thing that we're going to be able to show is, now that we're living, how many of you want to live to be 100? Are there any caveats? If you have your brain. We have doubled our lifespan in the last 100 years. We have done nothing to the brain span. We're living the last half of our life with our brain in a state of decline, and we don't have to. The neuroscience is so compelling. I'm so excited about what we're doing. What we're going to be looking for is how it will work. So how will this work? You'll enroll. You'll get a brain health checkup. You will have very specific recommendations, precision to you. We want people that will sign up for a minimum of 10 years. This will be like the Framingham study. It will never end, because don't you want to see 20 years that your brain is better than it is today? You will have access to the different training programs, because we said you will learn what you can do. We will take information from all of the Fitbits, the exercise, the sleep. We're going to be doing microbiome, genetics, brain imaging, so that you can see in real time how much you're regaining. We have shown healthy people, 50 to 70, without any disease, regain almost 2 to 3 decades back of their neural function. The speed of connectivity, increasing cortical thickness, actually the white matter, and becoming more energy efficient by how they think. We never have thought about the brain like that, even though the science is very clear. So for us, it's a big time. We think about the impact it would have on you personally. If your brain, future brain, I want you to stop and think from this day forward, future brain, what do you look like? What do I want you to be?
Attention. Thank you for your patience. We have discovered the issue, and it is a city problem where part of the electrical grid has been knocked out in the city. We are waiting further updates, and we'll be bringing back power on as soon as possible. Thank you.
So think about what it means for you. Oh, you know what? I didn't finish because it was the slide on this one. I'm just seeing it. When you enroll, you get your recommendations. Every 3 months, you get a real life coach to say, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? In a year, you will have your checkup again to see where are you? Where have you gained ground? Have you stayed the same, or have you slipped? Then we're going to be very proactive about what you should be able to do. And the same thing will follow. As new things come into this, it is going to be a nudge. We're using technology, a platform. 80% of the people will be able to do it on the platform and just enroll, because we want people to have access to it everywhere. Think about your community, your family. Oh, I love this. Most people, when I say, how's your brain health? They always say, mine's fine, but my spouse is. Or my mother-in-law, or my kids, but we don't take ourselves seriously. But if you become a role model, and I want to end with the story of Morgan Luttrell. Morgan Luttrell was a Navy SEAL. His brother, identical twin brother, Marcus Luttrell, was the one that wrote Lone Survivor. He had had probably 50 concussions. The last one, a helicopter fell on him, broke his back. He said, I knew the military would fix my back. And sure enough, he said after 3 months, I was back in the fields of Afghanistan. And I was sitting there looking at my computer, and I knew my men were going to die because I could not keep track of all the information that I was taking in to know what it meant. And I called my superiors and I said, you get me back stateside. You fix me from the neck down. I want my brain to work like it did before. So he came back. They sent him through the National Intrepid Center of Excellence for 4 weeks. They helped with his cane, his sleep, some of his eating.
What are you hearing behind the scenes about this feud? Well, I can't say that.
How did they know? They're checking in on us. He went to San Diego, he went to Mayo, and then somebody said, you know, there's this center down in Dallas, the Center for Brain Health, why don't we go down there? So a group of them came to see us to spend a week with us. And he walks in, he's 6'5", he's tattooed out the kazoo, and he looks at me, and he says, ma'am, I don't want to be impolite, but you've got to be kidding me. This is a joke. You have no idea what I have been through and how tough it is. This is not going to work. And I said, Morgan, you're right. I have no idea what you've been through. But I do know a lot about the brain, if you'll just ride with me. By Thursday, he said, Sandy, I don't know what has happened, but the tactical strategies you've given me for how to think, I can now think clearly for the first time in almost 3 years. He said, I wish I could give my men the gift you've given me because they're going to be deployed, and I want them to know where they are so when they get back, they can rebound. And I said, we can go and test them so we have a benchmark. He got us embedded so that we began to train the Navy SEALs. He said, I want to be you when I get out. And I said, what do you mean you want to be me? And he said, I just wish I could help people the way you have helped me with the youth and corporations. And I said, well, come on back. And he said, oh, ma'am, excuse me. He said, I'm the anchor man. He said, I grew up on a dirt road in Texas. And he said, if somebody made a 60, I made a 59. They could always count on me being the anchor man. I could never get into your university because we have the top national merits in the state of Texas. And I said, your strategic thinking for the last 16 years has given you the power to do this. He came back, he got in the master's program, cognitive neuroscience, and made all A's, and he's gone on to Harvard leadership training. So. We're going to be looking for communities like Aspen that would want to become brain healthy communities. Doing more than living longer, keeping your brain longer. Don't you want your future brain better than this now? That's what we can do. That's what we can measure. Thank you so much.